All right, hello everybody. Welcome to How American Girls Shaped Us. We're so excited to have you guys here. We're really excited for this panel. It's gonna be so fun. One of our panelists is running just like a couple minutes late, so if you see someone come join us on stage, that's very normal. And
They were soon.
So, my name is Kailee Brown, and I'll be moderating this panel today. And so we're gonna introduce ourselves, and then we'll get started talking about American Girl. So, like I said, I'm Kailee Brown. I'm a filmmaker and an artist here in Utah. I previously have worked with Apple Juice Productions as the technical director. There we made narrative content by and for women. So we had it was women's stories, and we had a lot of women's behind the scenes. Really fun. I did a lot of cinematography and editing with that. So I love film. And yeah, I consumed a lot of American Girl growing up. It is probably one of my favorite brands, like one of my favorite things that I got to do growing up. Love the magazine, the catalogs, read the books, and yeah. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi guys, I'm Amanda Taylor. I'm a filmmaker as well. I'm a writer and actress, and I've written about pop culture here in Utah and in Los Angeles, where I currently live for about a decade. My relationship to American Girl goes back before I can remember. My grandmother had the dolls, and we read the historical books and everything. This is mine, Felicity. And I took it everywhere I went, everywhere I went, planes, trains, automobiles, the whole thing. This was my best friend when I was like 8 to 10 years old. So I'm a huge, huge fan and excited to celebrate American Girl with all of you.
It's gonna be so fun. Yes, my favorite doll growing up was Samantha, but they were also fun to read. I love those books. So we are gonna talk about the dolls and their books first, and then we'll get into the magazine and stuff in a little bit. So Amanda, just share a little bit of your background with like American Girl doll and like what you experienced like growing up with them, and yeah.
I was like an early reader, so it was something that was available for me and was like age appropriate when I was a little bit younger, but still had like great story elements, and I liked the challenge of like learning about the historical stuff too, and sort of going into it with this kind of mindset of like, oh my gosh guys, Molly's walking in, the real Molly. Sorry to put you on the spot, you just look so fantastic. So all of these stories, I just found they were so like rooted in girlhood. You know, it was relatable stuff. You're reading about like experiences that you're having, but this is in the 1700s, and how could this be that she's so much like me? And across like all of the different historical dolls, like you're learning about these different moments of like friendship and family and sort of growing up, and it was just super, again, relatable, something that I feel like was really like appropriate for the age that I was. But then in the back of the books, my favorite part, there's like this little like section that's like, here's what was really going on, and it sort of tells you like the facts, the historical facts, and as like a nerd, I was like, yes. Because then I could go back to my peers or whoever would listen to me and be like, did you know that Victorians used to learn how to swim in these little harnesses where they would sit on a string and they would like, I don't know. You just like, you start to sort of absorb all this stuff about like American history throughout. That then came in handy like as a student my whole life. I'd be in like 8th grade American history and be like, I knew that from American Girl. See, we've got relatability on the table right here.
That is so much of why I loved American Girl and the dolls and their stories growing up too. It really made me feel like I was taken seriously, like I was interested in history. I really wanted to learn about that stuff. And I feel like reading about girls like our age in those books was like, it had such a big impact on me. I don't know, like they were real stories. Like these are things that like a girl like Felicity could have existed like in the Revolutionary War. It wasn't like these like ridiculous, crazy stories. Like,
yeah,
they were
she's
just
not like I'm now Paul Revere.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were real girls, and like it was like, oh, like I'm a real girl like this one, just like in my own historical time period. Like how cute and stuff.
And contextualizing like what you learn about, which is generally and almost always, let's be real, about men. Much older men. So this was like what's going on with like the average folks, but also people that look like me and are my age.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think the stories gave us a really good.
Again, weird feedback. Okay.
Thanks. I think the stories gave us a really good introduction to historical times too. Like it just, I don't know, it was a cool way to learn about it. Also, something really interesting about these dolls I was watching a YouTube video and this girl was talking about it, and she was talking about how American Girl kind of came about at a pretty good time because girls either had like baby dolls or they had like Barbies to play with, and it wasn't like really girls like their own age. So like those are great. Like you wanted to play with a baby doll or you wanted to like play with the doll that like you aspired to. But American Girl was very different. I also really like that they're like very special because of the like price. Like they were expensive, they were nice, so you get them, and it's like a heirloom in a sense. Like you're getting your doll and you're really like taking care of it. I think it was like it's a cool thing as an 8-year-old to get something that, or like around that age that you're getting something and you're like, wow, like this is really special. Like I was entrusted with this doll.
The care of this doll, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was really cool. What is one of your favorite stories from the books that has stuck with you through adulthood?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to choose. Since there's a Molly in the room, I will say that as like a World War II historian, as a 10-year-old, I love the Molly stories so much. I will never forget, like in the very beginning, she doesn't want to eat her turnips. And there's this long thing about like, you gotta eat your turnips, and her mom comes home and like makes them delicious for her, and it's just this sweet moment between she and her mom, where she's like, you know, things are crazy in the world, but like I see you as an individual, and like even as a child I was like, that's so special. And she, you know, her dad is away at war and there's a lot of uncertainty, and they're doing a bunch of efforts at home, so there's like victory gardens being planted in her neighborhood. She and her friends go around and they collect bottle caps for the war, and just sort of, I always thought that the collective sort of effort that was happening in those stories was so lovely. Totally as a little child, I was like, I hope we go to war so I can do this stuff with my friends. Because it was like almost romanticized, where I was like, this sounds so delightful. Because she was like finding ways to contribute, right? And everyone was like, we're doing our part. And even Molly, who was only 10 years old, was doing her part. I just think that those stories have like stuck with me probably above all, but
yes,
hard to
I
say.
feel
What
like
about
that's
you?
like so, yeah, they really like do their part in their times. The one I thought of at first was Felicity turning down the tea after her father, like he stopped selling tea because he's against like Britain and he's like for the revolution and stuff. And I think that story is like so profound because she's like this young girl, and her friend too, her best friend is drinking tea. Like her best friend's like on technically the opposite side as her. She's a loyalist, yes. which would be so scary, and as a child she was like, no, like I'm gonna take a stand and I'm not gonna have my tea, and I just thought that was like really cool. And once again, a story of just like, yeah, she's like contributing to the war in a sense, like she's contributing to the story being told, and like even as a young girl, like she still had something to say. So, and
an impact in her sphere. Like she's in a tea lesson with 3 other people, but like she still made a political statement. I always thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, it's like it wasn't like a big thing, but it was to her, and it was to me as a child too. I know something you wanted to talk about too was the intro pages with the families and stuff. I actually brought some books if you want to like reference and show.
Okay, story time. In the beginning, in the first pages of all of the books, they have these little like, here's who we're going to be hanging out with. And I don't know what it was about these pages, but my goodness. First of all, the illustrations are like beautiful. You're like, oh, I like literally, if I could be Aunt Cornelia.
Everyone's dream.
She's so beautiful. But also it like gave you a frame of reference for all these characters, and it would sort of change throughout the books, and they would give you context that would like pertained to the story. It was sort of like the last time on Samantha, like you met Uncle Guard or whoever. And I just love those, and I think I got used to them, and I wish everything had that. Like I love in a movie where they're like, here's the team, and they sort of like introduce you to people. I just think the context for that is so fun, and it was something that I was totally introduced to by American Girl. And those are my favorite pages, for sure.
Yeah, I love them too. Like they're so beautiful. I love that they were unique for every story too. Like they made them look like the times. Like this is what a picture frame would look like in Samantha's home, or this is what it would look like in Josefina's home.
And like some are like more illustrated, and some more like photography.
Totally, yeah, because like Molly's are more like photographic because she lives in like slightly more modern days. So yeah, I thought those are always like so fun to look at, and sometimes the characters would change in every book too.
And I think that's part of like what makes this whole thing so special is the attention to detail. And you know, there's just like so much loving craftsmanship like within the actual books, and then when it comes to like the dolls and their accessories and the historical accuracy and the way they were able to sort of convey all these different all these different time periods was really interesting. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so how did American Girl play into like your like friendships and sisterhoods and families and stuff? Like, were you friends with like a lot of people who had American Girl? Like, share.
no, I had one friend, a blonde friend, who had a Kirsten, and she had the outfit, and I had the Felicity outfit. So we dressed up for Halloween one year, and we were both American Girl doll humans, and that was really special because for the most part it was something that was sort of contained within my family. Like I said, my grandma, she is from Austria, so she also had a Kirsten, and she was like, we're both like from Europe.
That's
and
so cute.
traveled over on a boat. You know, she was a full-grown adult when she was introduced to American Girl, but she was able to like identify with one of the stories and one of the dolls. And then my mom was super into it, and I have two sisters, and we were all just obsessed. Like, I don't remember a time like before American Girl was a part of my life. So it is like something like we talked about them like they were kind of our friends. We had like a physical representation. It was just a huge part of my childhood and my household growing up, for sure.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember a time before American Girl either. I think I am a first generation American Girl lover, but I must have gotten introduced to it by the catalog, because I think like catalogs just kind of came to houses even if you like didn't ask for it and things. So like I'm sure like that's how I found out about it and just like fell in love, but I don't remember because I loved it so young.
For the young folks, a catalog it's like a paper book, and it had all the pictures. You would see pictures of the dolls, the dresses, the accessories, the little like school kit, like everything that was in the stories was in the catalog to buy.
Yes, the catalog was like a huge part of the lore of American Girl. I feel like it came to your house. They still have them. Like I went to the American Girl store like a few months ago, and they had them in there, but they're smaller. They're not as much. It's not the same. Like
things
they used to be like they'd come and they'd be these thick catalogs. The only way you could order, I wanted this doll, like this Samantha's doll, Lydia. Like I just wanted this, and it was like so expensive. But I did a mail-in order and I got her back, and it was like I don't even know, like that doesn't even seem like it'd be trustworthy right now, but. Yeah, I loved the catalog. Like it was so fun.
I remember, this is like deep cut. Please raise your hand if this resonates. They had this thing that was the American Girl Savings Plan, and it was like a sticker thing, and you could put the puzzle together. Behold, and like you could save like $20 at a time, and if you save 20, you put a sticker on it, and it sort of created a picture, and you could save up slowly. Like they had created this in the catalog for little girls like me to be like saving their allowance. So when I wanted like Felicity's school outfit or whatever, I was like, okay, I'm putting away my money, and I'm gonna slowly earn, and then get this amazing toy. While also doing a puzzle. It was like the best. Anyone? Hands?
So
Does anyone? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Took a lot of discipline, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's just take a quick pause.
Really quick. We would like to welcome our next panelist,
whose name is
Samantha.
What? Doll come to life.
Thanks, Samantha, for joining us.
I wasn't late. What are you talking
You're
about?
totally good. Do you want to intro yourself and just share your relationship to American Girl really quick?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Samantha. I don't have any like professional accolades to brag about, but I'm an English major. That makes me pretty smart. My relationship to American Girl doll is I am the youngest of two older sisters who were both into American Girl dolls, so they got me into American Girl dolls. Obviously, I really love Samantha.
As a Samantha.
Yeah, did I miss anything?
I think that's great.
Okay,
Thanks.
perfect.
Yeah, we were just talking about the catalog and how we played with American Girl. So I also didn't have any friends really who like had American Girl.
End of sentence.
It's so weird. I think I had like one friend, and I would go over to her house and she like had it out. But I feel like American Girl was just, they weren't like necessarily like, I didn't play with them as much. They were more of like, for me, like they were so special that I was like, okay, like I'm reading the stories, like, and then this is the representation of the story, which I thought was really interesting. Did you like play with yours?
Well, like I said, she went everywhere with me.
That's true, yeah.
Everywhere. We're talking camping. I mean, everywhere. Because I don't know that I like played with the accessories and stuff as much, but it was just like, this is my emotional support Felicity. It was like she was my daughter, my best friend, my everything. So
Yeah. You probably took a really good care of her though, would be my guess.
the
We actually
fact.
did have to send Felicity to the doll
Oh, the
hospital.
doll hospital.
So this
That's
is
cute.
she's had a little bit of work
She
done.
came home- she came
Everyone
home with
has
a
to go to the
little-
doctor
a little
sometimes.
Get well soon balloon.
It was cute.
She had a little balloon when she came back from
That's
the doll hospital. Very
so
cute.
cute. Samantha, how did you play with your American Girl dolls?
I actually brought my tiny American Girl. I don't know if anyone had American Girl
Yes,
magazines.
the mini Max!
They
The
had
mini Max!
mini
Oh my
ones that you could
gosh.
cut out for your dolls.
That's
cute.
So
So
cute. What
that
a
was the
throwback.
highlight of my life. I would read my American Girl magazine, and Samantha would read her American Girl magazine, and then we'd discuss like which recipes do you want to try? What crafts did you think were interesting? I was very much like I guess a weird kid. My doll talked to me and would be like, "That's great. That's a
So
cool idea.
cute.
You're very cool, very smart." My number one fan. Oh, sorry. We're number one fans of each other.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our relationship.
Samantha's.
Yes, the Samanthas.
That's so fun. I also want to talk about the other things that came with the dolls. So I have one of them, like the theater kits and stuff, and they had like paper dolls, and what else did oh yeah, and like the craft kits trading cards.
Stuff just keeps coming out of
I
my
know,
mouth.
sorry. We just have
Keep
Mary
forgetting
Poppins
our
bags of
treasures.
American Girl items. Did you guys like play with those at all? And
Yes, I love all of those, like the bonus ones, the cookbook, the craft
yeah, the
book.
cookbook. I have one of those at home too.
I thought they were really fun because I was very into historical fiction, and so I loved that they would be like, here's what girls were doing in
Yes.
the year of 1904 or whatever time period it was. So I love those little bonus.
Yes.
Oh,
they
yeah.
were so fun.
Like, again, this is gonna put me in a certain. Do you guys remember the store Media Play? They had, it was like a physical media store where you could go buy books and CDs and everything, and they had an American Girl Club in the 90s. In the 90s, and we put on one of the plays. So one of these theater kits came, and it was a Felicity story, and I was in the play, and I got to play Elizabeth, even though I wanted to play Felicity, but the girl who got cast had real red hair, boo. And it was like weeks of my life. Like we would rehearse, we had costumes, it was a whole thing, and we just put on a play for free at this store in front of all of our moms, basically. And just being able to engage in that way, like maybe I didn't have a million friends, but I had this club that I would go to where we were all like fanatics. So that was really
so
cool. There
cute.
was like community around it here in Salt Lake City, which is great.
What a good throwback to Media Play there.
Media
I
Play.
forgot about that place. I loved it too. Yeah, I also just love these. I loved like paper dolls. I don't know, they were like different kinds of like, I love that there was accessories to the dolls, but they just added to the historical fiction element of it. Like they felt more elevated than like toys too. Like it was like, these are like, I feel
Because
like
you were
grown up
learning
using
something.
these.
It
Yeah,
was this
totally.
bonus, like added sort of
Yes.
around the whole thing. It was like it's also educational. So if you're me, you're smug about it. Like, oh, I'm learning. But you know, you're just absorbing. I think that's the perfect way to like sort of be introduced to learning about history.
Yeah, totally.
Especially as a child. When you
Yeah.
could be like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, I can care about this?
Yeah.
I know.
Even though it's in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I feel like the other thing with these dolls too, like the stuff, like the quality didn't really go down. Like the dolls are, like as I got older, sorry. So like the books, I've still reread them now, and they're still like so impactful. Like they're not like written childishly. Like I read them and I'm like, this is still a really good story. Like I would
Yes.
still read this now.
Yeah, the women they hired to write these books, like they were not like, oh, they're for kids. They were like, okay, we're taking this seriously.
Yeah, they totally took it seriously.
Yeah, they're not written as like being like super simplified, like dumbed
Yeah,
down. Like,
yeah.
they go through like Molly's dad is at war, Samantha's an orphan. They go through like real issues.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah, they really do. We actually have some questions coming in that I want to just ask now because they're just kind
Yay.
of fun.
Fun.
Did you have a favorite prop or accessory? And also, what was the one item or outfit that you wanted, like desperately? Like those could be the same maybe or different.
I
but-
see that you brought it too.
Yes, mine was
but
like so. Like,
This was my favorite
Yours is
Samantha
so beautiful.
accessory.
Same.
This was my favorite
And you have
Samantha
the
story.
nutcracker still.
But she had to wait patiently to receive her nutcracker doll for Christmas. Oh, and I love it so much. And I brought her in the nightgown. That's the outfit I would want. This beautiful nightgown. It's gorgeous.
This is a great question. Felicity, the horse girl of the group, who steals a horse. Amazing. She has this hunter green riding habit. It's got the 3-corner hat. It's this beautiful embroidered jacket and a dress, like a skirt that you can ride in, so it's like really big. I saw a human adult woman wearing that costume last year, and I was like,
That's incredible.
where, what, tell me everything. Of course she made it herself, I can't sew. But like seeing it in the wild, I was like, where are we, what's happening? And she was like, no one else knows that it's Felicity, and I was like, I did.
It's like,
Immediately.
It's like one of those things, if you know, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were at like a Revolutionary War-ish place, so she just fit into the time period, and everyone else was just kind of like, cool outfit, and I was like, Felicity Merriman.
I love that so much. Yeah, my favorite accessory is definitely this one. But then the outfit that I really loved was Samantha's birthday outfit, I think it is what it is. The pink one, like
Yes.
With the
she
little garland.
Yes, she's just so fancy, and I think she had petite fours at her birthday party, and I was like, wow, those are so fancy. And yeah, I wanted that dress so bad. It was so cute, and
Yeah.
I love pink, so.
Samantha has a certain elegance about
She
her.
absolutely does.
And she's like the girly girl. Like I love Felicity because she's a tomboy. Molly's more of a tomboy. I feel like
Yeah.
Kirsten's like out in the woods. Addie's like more kind of, I don't know, country a little bit, but like Samantha was like the girl. The girly
She
girl.
lives in New York City.
So fancy. All right, so I want to talk about a little bit about the representation and diversity in the dolls, and
Great.
just like how, like you appreciated that, or like what, I don't know. Share your thoughts on the representation and diversity. Samantha, go ahead.
Well, my favorite thing, I was just explaining this to my fiance last night. In this book, Samantha's Aunt Cordelia is going to all these rallies for women's rights. And Grandmary doesn't really understand why do women need rights? Like, why does it matter? But by the end of the book, Grandmary has come around and now understands women need rights too. And so that's my favorite thing about the Samantha of it all is, being a woman, reading this book, growing up, I was like already interested in
Yeah.
feminism just from reading this silly little book about a girl who had the same name as I do. I kind of lost my train of thought, but that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here,
Yeah,
just
that's
as
great.
far as like representation
I love
goes,
that.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
And, like,
especially as a child.
oh my gosh,
Totally.
being introduced to women's suffrage through a cool aunt.
Exactly.
Also, Grandmary. My goodness, someone remember that I want to be called Grandmary when I'm very old.
Yes.
I mean, we should talk about Addie, who is here with us
Yes.
today. Obviously,
Addie.
she starts the story out, and she is a slave. She escapes slavery in the book, and it's a lot. I've seen
It's
some
harrowing.
sort of hilarious internet discourse that's like, the other girls are like, oh no, I can't eat my turnips, and she's like, I literally escaped. So there's a scale of hardship that's happening amongst these girl characters, but I think like telling that story and exposing me, especially, look at me, to that story when I was very young and sort of being like, wow, that is like something that was happening to people who are my age, young girls, again, just being able to relate to something that's very far in the distant past. This is obviously never going to be an experience that I had, like, it was hugely eye-opening for me, and just the cruelty, and they really didn't shy away. I think those books in particular are really, really well done because they
Yeah.
are not sugarcoating it. Like it's really, this is what it was like and why they needed to leave, period. And then as well, she like has the struggle of sort of assimilating into like a new culture and being able to like find
Yeah.
her way in the city and everything. And I think that is relatable just in general, because anyone going to a new place, but with this layer of just like trauma on top of it
I
that,
know.
again, is like really well crafted. I think it was super formative, just really important for me as a young person to be exposed to that storytelling in that way.
Yeah, I just recently read Addie's first book again because I like found a box set at the thrift store and so I was like, I'm gonna read Addie's. And it was so good. Oh my gosh, like I just couldn't believe, like I had forgotten about the part, but I immediately remembered when I read it when the foreman like makes her eat worms. Like it's so gross, but like it's so like you can feel it like in your. I'm like,
Yeah,
like
you have
and
like
it's just
such
horrible.
sympathy for her.
Yeah, you have such sympathy, and she's just like she's so cool and impressive, and like her story is just really amazing. And I actually learned that when they did bring on Addie, they like had an advisory board to like make sure they like did it right. They
I
also
didn't know
created like a
that.
new face mold for her.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so they had like so they were really trying to like do the work, which is cool. Like, and I also appreciate Josefina. As a Latina myself, like I think it's cool to have that representation, and I just liked it because it was just like they were just there. Like it wasn't like, oh, like they're like the diversity doll or whatever. Like it was like, no, these are like American girls, like just like all of us. Like they're here, and we're sharing their stories too, and I really appreciated that. Okay, how do you guys think the dolls have changed in quality in their presentation? I know we're talking a lot about like we mostly experienced them like as they got younger, but like they decreased in quality. They also have like they discontinued dolls and brought them back. I don't know if you guys have thoughts about that.
I have big thoughts.
Please share.
When Samantha was discontinued in 2009, I had a full-on identity crisis. And my mom and I were both on eBay like, we have to get everything that has ever come out for her. It was
Smart.
It was a really rough time. It was a rough time. I personally just think it used to be about learning, and now it's about money.
Yeah.
It used to be, here are these dolls where you can step into their era for 8 books and learn a little bit about what it was like to take a lunch to school, or what your school supplies look like, or just like the different outfits, and now it's simply just, we want to make money.
It also used to
That's
be like,
just me, that's how I
here's
think
the
it's
options, the end. And now it's like every year there's a new one, and they're sort of trying to, I don't know, it does feel like there's a little bit too much at this point. And
I do
instead
like
of like
that they added
folk-
one for the 70s.
Oh, shout out Julie.
Julie.
Yeah, Julie's
And-
really
and-
cute.
Good one.
Yes, yes.
That's the one my sister had. I had a project in school where I needed to research the 70s, and Julie was the jumping off
We love that.
There you
See?
go.
Thank you.
See, and that's the whole point. Like,
And they also added
it used to be historical.
Kit
That could be your
Kittredge.
jumping off point because you learn from her.
Yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
doing a project on
We
pop
love
culture
Kit.
in the 70s. So
That's
I started
so
and I was
cute.
like, okay, she mentioned Happy Days. What is Happy Days?
Yeah. And you were talking about Kit, Amanda?
Yeah, Kit Kittredge is another one that was added like kind of after
Oh, we got a
this
Kit fan.
era.
We got a Kit fan.
And as a journalist, I read all of those as an adult, and I was like, yes.
I wanted all Kit stuff for myself.
Yeah,
Like,
her stuff was so
bed.
cute.
Can we answer her question? She's had her hand up.
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
One question. I just feel like you would all really appreciate this, and I need to vent about it somewhere.
Go off. Go off.
Since you brought it up, I agree with you. It used to be like, you know, a structured set, educational and fun. Sometimes weird, like Kirsten's lunch sausage. But this,
That's Swedish, I don't know.
capitalism, right? And can
Yeah.
I just point out the 3 dolls that are supposed to be like, their families don't have that much money to buy them new things all the time, get the most accessories.
funny.
Sorry,
What's
Julie.
that about?
Sorry,
Can I ask which dolls those 3 are?
Julie,
Julie,
Kit,
Kit.
and sorry, I just blanked.
It's totally okay.
My brain just stopped. Hold on. Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen.
Their whole story is about like, I'm a child of divorce. We don't have that much money. I'm going through the Great Depression. Or I'm
Buy all my
youngest of, like,
accessories.
tons of kids. I don't
Yeah.
get new outfits, and then they get new outfits every season.
That is
because American
kind
Girl's
of
like,
crazy.
"That's now."
Yeah,
Thank
see,
you
see,
for
they
letting
just
me
are
vent.
like, we need that, we gotta make that money, you know?
And I think like it feels like a bummer to us because we're a little bit older and we had a different experience with it, but we have some younger folks in the audience who are still like very much enjoying American Girl. So I think the magic is still absolutely there. Maybe it is a little bit different, but
Yeah.
I would not say that it has ruined the experience. It's
I would
just changed
agree.
the
It's
experience, and of
changed.
course we're old and we want to yell at clouds.
Yes, I agree. And I see some hands. We'll save questions for the end, so if you just text them to that number, we will answer them. I just don't want to get too off track of like what we're talking about and stuff, but yeah, I think it's interesting. And there was a change from Pleasant Company to Mattel, and I think that was probably a big difference. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I mean, for
If you
instance,
get it, you
like
get
I think these dolls probably like they're tied at the back with like a rope, and then they changed
Yes,
it to
these
like
are all
zip
the
ties.
original.
Yeah.
Did you say it was 2017? See, like, why'd they do stuff like
Yeah.
that? Yes, I love Molly right here. We love this
Molly.
original doll.
So cute.
Molly's like,
Okay.
The vibes in here are amazing, you guys.
I seriously, this crowd is really great. You guys are so fun.
I'm just glad to know that there are other people who care about American Girl.
Of course.
So we also wanted to talk a lot about the magazine and the other stuff American Girl. We talked a lot about the dolls, but I'm sure everybody here consumes the magazine, the other books. I have like my mini mysteries book here. I'm sure like they're so fun. So yeah, tell me about how you guys felt about the magazine or other aspects of American Girl. What did you consume there?
So I got the magazine subscription as a gift from this same grandma. I also do want to shout out my mom, who's right here and is like so instrumental in this whole panel existing.
Thanks, Mom.
Because she helped facilitate all of this and sort of like enabled us to be obsessed with this. And the magazine would come to the house, like my parents would get a magazine, but I would get a magazine, and that was really special. And I do think that influenced my like life decisions, because like I said, I did study journalism.
Yeah.
And just like poring over the magazine and be like, this is what a magazine can be. It doesn't have to be these like blocks of boring text. And the content being so deliberate for, again, this younger kind of audience. And there were crafts, but there were also like girls writing in being like, I had a really embarrassing moment in my 4th grade class, and I like need
Yeah, it was
assistance
so relatable.
here.
It was a really relatable magazine.
There was so much like contributed by the readership too, and you would get to see all the girls' signatures. And for some reason that stands out in my mind as being
Yeah, that was
like,
always
I
so
just
cute.
felt connected to the whole country. We're all American girls, and I can see your little handwriting, and I have handwriting, and it just felt like real to me to be able to be like, no, these are like real people who are contributing to this collective again, like this community.
Totally. Samantha, what about you?
Yeah,
You have your tiny one.
I
That's
love,
amazing.
Yes, I loved getting the American Girl magazine so that I could make tiny ones. But I also loved them. I totally forgot that they used to have like advice columns where it'd be like,
Oh yeah.
I'm in 5th grade and I have a crush on this boy and I'm nervous about talking to him. And American Girl would write back and be like, here's some
We're like,
advice.
I'm shy about doing a test. How do I study?
The
Yeah.
thing I would like to bring up, did anyone read the Amelia book?
Of course.
That looked like a composition journal? Yeah, so those were my favorite, and they were kind of a branch from the American Girl. They were made by the same company.
But they would publish the stories in the magazines. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, or they would say, they'd have like a snippet of like,
Yeah.
coming out of Amelia's road trip book, out whenever. Those were my favorite. I love making my own commonplace journals. I have done that for years and years because of the Amelia books. I journal like the Amelia books, just very chaotic with little bits of, here's a rock that I found taped in, and here's, those were a huge part of my childhood, and mainly because of my older sisters. They had them, and then I would just grow up
That makes
reading
sense.
them. But
Yeah.
that's a branch of American Girl that
I
I
love
really
it. I
love.
also loved those Amelia books. I will never forget the Amelia book that she wrote about Y2K coming and
Yes!
all her thoughts about like the world's gonna end. That's always what I think about when I think about Y2K is Amelia. It's so
Yes,
impactful.
I love that. I love that. It really shows our age.
Yeah,
though.
Like all the anxiety we were all feeling.
Yeah. Expressed in Amelia.
I think she even wrote something like, Mom and Dad won't stop talking about how nervous they are for Y2K.
I know. Yeah, I also adored the magazine. I looked forward to it whenever it came. It would always be on my birthday list. Like grandma got it for me one time, my mom did, I saved up. Like, it seemed so expensive to me at the time, and now I'm like, I would pay way more money to get the magazine now. I'm so sad it
me
like, got
too.
discontinued.
Is it not a thing anymore?
No, it's got discontinued.
That's what I thought.
It was so impactful.
I think I still have my
actually,
minis.
It was so impactful in my creative life. I'm really creative, and this is like a little pen pal that I made from a craft from one of the magazines. And I still like make these today. Like I've never seen them. That's like the first one I made in third grade. And I like sold them at like, in like elementary school. They're like, oh, make something to sell at this little market. And I made those and they did great.
I feel like that's what American Girl does.
Yeah.
It gives you ideas to be like,
It does.
how can I make a little side hustle?
And I've never seen those since like I was like,
I never
just
have.
like
Those
you.
are so cute.
It's me. And yeah, so I love, the magazine is so fun.
And being able to do like the crafts and stuff again, it was like a community collective thing. It was like, okay, mom and sisters, like we're all gonna make the Felicity fan or the hat or the whatever.
Totally.
Like we were doing it as a group.
Okay, so what has American Girl taught you guys, and what do you still take with you from it to your adulthood now?
Women are awesome.
That is true.
Thanks for coming. Goodbye.
Amanda, why don't you go?
I think for me, it's helped like what we've all sort of touched on this already, but just like remembering that young women like have a point of view and they are listening and they're paying attention and they're going to form their own opinions. They're going to create their own social ecosystems. Like there's so much going on for women of all ages, especially kind of at this like 9 to 10-ish range where you're really kind of coming into your personality and figuring out like maybe some things that do separate you from your friends, like perhaps you don't drink tea, or maybe you don't want to do what your family is doing. There's so many moments, I think, in these stories that are like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right, point of view, like, of course. And I think that's been important for me to take as I grow up and just remember, like, all of the women who are a little bit younger than me, and of course also older than me, like we all have something to contribute, and it's really important to remember that we are all in community together, and age is just a number.
It totally is. I agree. Samantha?
Can you ask the question again?
Yeah, so what has American Girl taught you, and what are you going to take with it to your adulthood? And if you want, I can answer first, and then you can. Do you want to?
No, I'm just collecting my thoughts. Just specifically with Samantha, I feel like Samantha always relied on the people around her. Her Aunt Cordelia, her Uncle Gard, her Grand Mary. She didn't have parents of her own. She didn't really have friends. And that's kind of something that I found a lot of solace in, basically only being friends with my 2 older sisters and my mom growing up.
And your dolls.
Yes, and my dolls. I was totally content to just be, like, why would I not just want to hang out with my sisters and do whatever they're doing? And I still feel that way as an adult. I think I've said to my mom before, I just want to hang out with you. Just this sort of camaraderie and family and relying on people who maybe they're not the family that you have, but they're the family you were given.
I love that.
That work?
Yeah, I think I agree with like what both of you have said. I just like it influenced me so much, and I don't feel like I ever really like stopped loving American Girl either. Like it was never something that was like, oh, like it's not cool anymore. Like it was always something I continued to love. Obviously, I like grew out of like playing with dolls, but like I still loved American Girl. And if like I said, if the magazine were out today, I'd probably buy it because it's so fun. But it's something that impacts me, and it's something that I hope to get to pass on like to my future kids one day as well, and be like I have all the books. I'm trying to collect all the books right now and make sure you just like have them. It's fun to be able to still read them as an adult, and I think it's fun and cool to have something from our childhood that like has stuck so permanently, and like see these historical dolls and just like be able to have them still in our lives.
We want to take a second right now to interrupt Kaylee's beautiful moderation. Let's clap for Kailee. Because as we kind of talked about, some of these things were a little bit financially out of reach, so we actually bought Kailee her own Samantha.
What? You guys, what?
That's why I came with two. She's for you.
To take home and to have and care for.
We love you.
What?
There goes her
We
hat.
gotta keep the magic of the American Girl alive, you know?
best day of my life.
So, you know,
Goodness.
just keep passing it on. I
Yes.
think that's the message. Like,
Yes,
if
pass
you
it
have
on.
one that you think you want to get rid of, pass it to someone who would love it. If you want to buy more, do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, the reason that these exist and that they continue to like be a big thing is because of people like us who are like championing them
Yeah.
and continuing to talk about them. So thank you guys for being here. Do we
Yes.
have any time for
Thank
questions?
you guys. Yeah,
at
we
all?
have. We definitely have time for questions, and we have a bunch, so we would love to answer some.
Fantastic.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, we've talked a lot about the historical dolls, and someone asked, can you share your thoughts about the more modern dolls? Do you have any thoughts on those? We probably didn't grow up with them as much, but I still want to hear your thoughts if you guys have any.
Yeah, I don't really have as much to say. I definitely had a girl of today who came out at like about that Y2K time. She was like from the year 2000 and she had a pleather dress. And it was awesome. And she looked like me, so she had Molly's exactly, could have just been Molly. But whatever. After that, I kind of was in the age where I was never like, ew, American Girl, but I wasn't consuming and purchasing. So I'm definitely less familiar with the modern ones.
Yeah, I'm also less familiar with the modern because of the 2009 Samantha departure. When that happened, I was like, I can't be interested in the new dolls. I gotta be loyal
fair.
to my
That's
girl.
fair.
So I remember looking through the catalogs and being obsessed with, is Julie the 70s
Yeah,
one?
Julie's the 70s one. She's great.
Yes, I remember being obsessed with all of her, like her bed, her closet, all
The
of her
bead curtain?
accessories. Yeah, I wanted all of her stuff like for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was so cool.
I can't say I know a lot about Mary Ellen or the other one whose name I can't remember now.
Courtney's from the 80s, and then Isabel and Nikki are 90s.
Those are
Okay,
brand
and saying
new.
historical from the 90s is rude.
Yeah, those ones just came out. So
I'm
yeah.
historical from the 90s, so.
So these are my thoughts on the modern dolls. I feel like, yeah, I loved like Kit and Kaya, and then I liked Julie a little bit, and then I started
Kaya.
kind of like,
Oh my
I
gosh,
started
I
getting
forgot
a little
about
bit
Kaya
too
too.
old to like really like continue consuming those all the time. But I loved that they continue to bring them out. I was so sad when they like discontinued some of our favorite dolls. Like it's so sad because like these stories still matter, and I'm sure they were doing it because they weren't making as much money, and they brought them back. But yeah, and so I think that's hard. I think the other thing I feel about the modern dolls is, so when the original dolls came out, they would have 6 books with them, and they would always have the same structure and stuff. As they started bringing more modern dolls, sometimes they'd only have 1 book, or they'd do like 3 books. And I think that's where my struggle stands with the modern dolls, is that they really stopped making it about education, and it started being more about like, oh, like we're just trying to like bring new dolls and stuff.
Yeah, and
And
less
so
about
that's hard.
storytelling. There wasn't
Yeah.
as much of like a dense lore within
And
like the.
a lot of less accessories and stuff. Yeah, like there was just there was less, which is sad, because I think the most fun about these dolls was it was like, well, she has 6 outfits. Which one do you like the best? So
Hey, you get to choose. Do you like the
Yeah.
school outfit, the
I think-
winter outfit, the summer outfit?
And as
Right.
we've all said, like we all want to wear it for ourselves. Like that is where I'm like, American Girl. If you came out with adult female clothes, like this is the Felicity necklace that I've had since I was like a very small child. But I need more. I literally need more, girl. I need more.
What about like even for Samantha, because she got discontinued?
I remember that I was going through the catalog before Christmas, and I realized, oh my gosh, I can wear the same dress as my Claire.
Okay,
I love
well,
that.
I need to get
That's
American
so
Girl
cute.
catalog in my hand immediately.
That's clearly what we're all headed toward.
okay, this is a question. Which American Girl do you think is the least impactful or your least favorite? I don't know if you guys have any.
I don't want to be negative.
Yeah,
I love them all so much.
I don't know if I could pick a least favorite.
Okay, you don't have to.
I love them all.
We're
I
just
don't
too
think I
we're
could.
too
Too into
positive.
all
We're
of them.
too into it.
Did you ever watch any of the movies?
No.
You guys have
I
any
did.
thoughts?
I
Okay.
watched the Samantha one. because it had Anna Sophia Robb in it, and I loved her.
I think I was too jealous. Like, oh, I wanted to be in the movie.
Yeah, I think maybe I had a little bit of that too.
I also saw the movies, but sorry, I think we have a few people coming in for the next panel, so if we could just keep it quiet while we're still answering questions. Yeah, I watched some of the movies. I always was disappointed because I felt like they never like followed the books, or like I didn't like the casting as much. They always cast these like child stars, and I was like,
Yeah, they weren't.
where's my Samantha?
They weren't. It wasn't my Samantha. Exactly what you just said.
So-
Still good, but
Yeah.
You guys,
never know.
thank you so much for participating and
Yes.
hanging out. If you're an American Girl person, we're going to be in the hallway after this. We have friendship bracelets. We'll have our dolls.
We have
I want to get a
doll
picture with
bracelets
Molly.
as
Don't you
well.
go anywhere.
Yes, Molly.
Please come
Molly, I
join
want
us.
a picture with Molly. And thank you so much for coming, American Girl Forever.